This is a great honor for every fan of the Dallas Cowboys. I'm honored to be in the NFL.
What can I say? Mamba out.
Right, everyone, what is going on? Welcome to your Friday edition of the afternoon show. It is going to be March 21st of 2025. It's March Madness. We're going to talk about what's happened the last 24 hours, what's going on currently, and also what will be happening for the remainder of the night here on this Friday. So before we get into all of that, talking about all the latest and greatest in sports and entertainment news, we got to introduce the cast and crew. Of course, I'll be your host and producer for this show, Logan Landis. Joining me, of course, is my co-host, co-analyst, Jay McLovin. Jay, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well. I am doing well. I just want to put out a little quick announcement. So tomorrow, Delta Circle is going to be in Houston for the Springboard Music Festival. So I will probably be out there tomorrow doing that, and I'm gonna try to go Facebook Live for the Whiskey Hour and get a little bit of interview with them while they're at the festival. So that should be a lot of fun, and I'll try to get that on Facebook Live and then share it out all over the place. So it should be a good time tomorrow. Today it's nice little 75 degrees out here, Logan. I can't complain.
I'm about to tell you, and if you're in that greater Houston area, man, go out there and check out our boys in Delta Circle. They do the intro for Big Glenn Live, and we had them on the show a couple times, and great dudes, great guys, and make some killer music. So go out there and support them and let them know that we sent you here from the Elite Sports and Entertainment Network. And also helping us out today is Tony, who stepped off the screen, and Chris Gonzalez. So Chris, what's going on, man? How you doing on this Friday?
Did he step off the screen, or did the phone book slip?
Hey, dude, his food arrived. He had to go get his food.
I don't blame him. It's all right. You got to keep it hot. But what's going on, Chris?
Y'all don't train Pablo to go out there and snag up the food and bring it back.
He went and got it's some Mexican food. Pablo eat that shit.
I tell you, hey, it's amazing what you can train a dog to do. When I was getting my nails done, yes, I do. Me and Mel were at this shop, and this little Vietnamese lady was running the shop and everything, and she had this dog, and this dog would fetch you sodas and fetch you beer and bring it right to you. Or just clap your little hands. It was fucking amazing. I don't know if Pablo's that advanced yet.
Hey, Tony, I'm gonna ask how you doing, but I know you just got your food, so I know you're pretty hungry. But what was your order? That's the real question.
I got carne asada steak, beans, rice, a hot sauce they make there. They make an extra hot sauce. I get that because they make it.
You didn't get a chimichanga?
No, I don't get no chimichanga.
Everybody does a chimichanga.
That's Americanized bullshit. I get.
Hey guys, Hey guys, real quick, just a quick update. Baylor, Mississippi State. Baylor's up 1 with 43 seconds left.
Robert Morris just went ahead of Alabama.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and for the moment, we're going to look at the games from yesterday while we wait for those to chime in and finish up. And Chris, by all means, if they do wrap up, please just interrupt me and let me know. But for now, we are going to look at yesterday's actions, the first 16 games of this 64-team tournament we all know and love and get heartbroken over and brackets busted, so on and so forth. So I was going to do a very quick glance at all these games, their final scores, and we'll take a deeper dive and talk about some of the ones that stood out. And so obviously, number 1 seed Houston, they crushed SIU Edwardsville, won by 38 points. No story there. Auburn just beat the hell out of Alabama State, 83-63. Tennessee beats Wofford, 77-62. St. John's, led by, of course, Coach Pitino, 85-66 win over the Montana Grizz. Bit of a closer one here. Texas Tech got a 10-point win. They were a 3 seed against number 14 seed UNC Wilmington, following up by a 12-point victory of Purdue, the Boilermakers, over High Point, 75-63. A&M, they beat Yale in a 9-point ball game. That was a 4 and a 13 seed going at it, 80-71. The big upset of the day and possibly of the tournament, McNeese, the Cowboys, number 12 seed, knock off the Clemson Tigers, 67 in that one. Michigan survives. This is also one people, that was a close game. Michigan, they only got a 3-point win over UC San Diego. BYU was able to beat VCU 80-71. 10-point win for Drake, the number 11 seed, over the number 6 seed Missouri, 67-57 in that one. Also a bit of an upset here. Arkansas, number 10 ranked team, beats number 7 ranked Kansas, knocking the Jayhawks out in the first round, 79-72. 3 more games here left from yesterday. UCLA defeats Utah State handily, 72-47. Creighton gets the win over Louisville in a different matchup of 1 seeds there, 8 and 9 seeds, scoring that one 89-75. And the final game between the two Bulldogs, number 8 Gonzaga and number 9 Georgia. Gonzaga mops the floor with the Bulldogs 89-68. So that is where we were at yesterday in terms of all those games. So, I mean, guys, for me, looking at all this, 2 matchups really, stand out to me. Obviously, the main one is going to be McNeese and Clemson. That's the big story there. I mean, another one too. I mean, I know, Drake beat Missouri. That was a big upset. But also, I want to throw in the Michigan just surviving UC San Diego. That's why I love March Madness, for God's sake. Because in any other, you know what I mean? You don't see this really in any other sports. We'll just get kind of initial thoughts on yesterday. For Tony and Chris, you guys can go off first. What did you think of the first day of March Madness? I don't know if you guys watched much or just caught some highlights. What were y'all thinking about?
I watched quite a bit of it. I actually predicted McNeese State. I said they would win that game. I predicted on the show yesterday. I thought they would. Michigan, they had a little bit of a rough start, but that coach, I haven't followed Michigan a lot this year as much as I normally do with the Big Ten, but he said this is the way they played all year long. They play close games all year with everybody.
They played a real good first half, Michigan did, and then in the second half they couldn't hit no shots at all. I mean, it looked like they were going to blow them out in the first half, and then second half that team controlled most of the second half really.
And St. John's, I was really impressed. I didn't realize this, but they have all year long have averaged in the second half. That's their half. They have outscored teams average of 9 points a game in the second half, and they play tremendous defense. So I mean, they are they are one hell of a defensive team.
Yeah, and I'd also seen a stat about Coach Pitino. I think he's the only coach in NCAA history to ever lead 6 separate teams to a March Madness tournament, which speaks to just his ability as a coach to get teams into this, kind of exclusive club. So St. John's, and then they're moving on to the next round. But Jay, what were your thoughts on the initial matchups, the first 16 games for the round of 64?
Yeah, I actually was thinking that I picked San Diego to pull the upset over Michigan, and I really thought that was going to happen. I really thought it was going to come to fruition. Michigan, like you said, came out hot and heavy that first quarter or that first part, and then the second half, they just sputtered down and almost allowed them to win the game. So for Michigan, man, if they're going to do anything, they can't. I mean, they can do okay with these smaller, Cinderella type of teams. That's not going to pan out when you start going up against some serious competition. So I don't think Michigan is going to last much. I don't think they get past the second round. I really do think Michigan goes down second round. But that Drake game, whoo, man, 10. I knew that was another one I thought could be an upset. I didn't think it was going to be that much of it. I didn't know it was going to be a 10-point upset. I mean, that game really had me perplexed. But, again, Houston, the one thing I wanted to say about Houston game, and it's really not about the game itself. It's just about the coach, Kevin Sampson himself. I just found this out yesterday that when they had a senior night, I think that all the players and their fathers walked them out or whatever. Well, there was one player that didn't have a father. His father had passed away. So so Sampson himself, the coach, wound up walking the kid out. And I thought that was a pretty cool thing. The only other coach I've ever seen do that with a kid that didn't have a parent to walk him out was actually Deion Sanders at Colorado. So, I mean, I don't like Deion, but I mean, I love to see coaches that take up that type of mentality that really invest in their students and not just there to get them to play for a championship or what have you. It's really good to see them investing into the kids.
Yeah.
That's definitely always pretty cool.
But yeah, a couple things I thought about the tournament was one thing, it was a good day for the Big Ten. They went 5-0 or 4-0, 5-0. I think it was either 4 or 5-0 yesterday. SEC went 4-3. But it was good. So Big Ten had a good showing yesterday. So I like that. Even though Michigan did struggle, but they found a way to get the win. But back to McNeese real quick. I have a question for you guys. The McNeese coach has already announced that he's leaving.
Yeah,
and he's catching a lot of flack from people that he already announced that he's leaving and he's coaching. That's not fair to the kids, but I think that's actually more fair to the kids. He was honest with them, and he's instead of just leaving them, and now they have a whole new coach coaching them in the tournament. They got the same coach for the tournament, and he's leaving after the tournament. So I thought he'd done the right thing, but he's taking a lot of flack for it. What's your guys' opinion on that?
I think it's the right move, and I'll kind of echo what you said, Chris, because I would rather be if I was playing for this coach all year, right? We're grinding day in, day out, practices and traveling all these miles, and he says, last week, he says, "Hey guys, I'm leaving here for a different school next year, but we still got some work to do. But let's just enjoy the time we got left." I mean that because you shouldn't be focusing on the future when you're in the present. When you got all these teams ahead of you, you don't need to be worried about next year and who your coach is going to be. And like you said, if for some of those players who they are now going to get bigger looks from other schools if they choose to transfer. I mean, we've seen this every single season. These guys from these very tiny schools have a good run in March Madness, and they go to maybe not a giant school, but definitely a step up in competition and in play. And that's going to allow them to say, all right, look, I don't, my coach is leaving. I don't have any reign really or any big reason to come back if I want to. So I'm with you. I respect the decision for the coach to come out early and say, hey, I'm going to be leaving next year. I don't know if he wanted it out to the public or not, but even though it did come out, I still think that I understand the fans are upset because like, hey man, we want you back on our team. But I think if if I'm in the player's shoes right now, I'd be okay with it because you're telling me out front, you're letting us know that I'm not coming back, and that if you guys want to come with, well, welcome to. If you want to go somewhere else, or then you can go somewhere else. Or if you want to stay, do whatever you want. But I think it was a good move on his part.
It sounds like he might be taking quite a few of the players from there to NC State with them.
Well, Jay, you mentioned Colorado. That's what he did at Jackson State. Remember, he took half the roster. Yeah. He took a lot of his guys.
Didn't he?
And he knocked out a bunch of the Colorado players.
Yeah, same thing with the football coach from IU. He brought 13 guys with him from James Madison.
Yeah, good point. But Jay, what did you think though about
this coaching changes? That players are going to shift because they go to schools based on the coaches that bring them there. So when a coach leaves, it's a natural thing to know that he's going to take a certain amount of players with him. And then the incoming coach that comes in, he'll either bring players from wherever he was at, or they'll just have to start over. But I mean, that's just a part of the game. And I think it's a business like anything else. But I'm kind of torn. I get Tony. I get Gonzo. I get your point about him being honest and getting it over with and things like that. I totally relate to that. But at some level, when you're in the tournament, I almost kind of think like, could you not wait until they lose and they're out of the tournament and then tell them? That way it's not on their mind, or it's not weighing down on them, because that does have an emotional impact, especially if they're close to their coach, But I don't know. I see your side of it though too.
I get that, Jay. But I think he was asked about it, and instead of lying,
he's asked about it, that's one thing. Yeah.
Instead of lying, he just went ahead and said, "Yeah, I'm going to NC State."
Yeah, reports are out there.
You know what I mean? The reports came out, and he was asked about it. I don't think he just went out and openly talked about it, but he did say that he let his when he came out and said that when he was asked about it, and he said that I've been doing it. He said I've talked to my team. He already he let his team know before the public found out anything.
It almost seems like, and I guess he must have just made this decision, but I almost think like, to your point, even further, it would have been cool at the beginning of the season before it got started. If he knew that there was a possibility that he wouldn't be back, maybe address it then. That way it gives them time to digest it and get through it and everything, and then, maybe do it. But I think it's just a timing. It's the timing of you're in the tournament. Now this comes out, and it's just that's a hard thing for a team to really digest.
But also to me, Jay, it's no different than like these players not playing in tournament or like a bowl game or something because they're
sure.
because they're entering the transfer portal or because they're going into the draft. You know what I mean? So it's not
Right.
to me. It's not really no different than that.
I feel like we have to keep the same energy for both of them, because they both have the options to leave now. They're coaches have had this transfer portal, quote unquote, for years where they'll leave and go to different schools, and Vlad and I would just say, oh, hey, he's going to their school. But if a player does it, hey, you're abandoning your team. I feel like now that the transfer portal is an actual thing, everyone just keep it the same way.
What was your thoughts on it?
I had a little bit of mixed feelings, but I understand what you guys are saying. I don't disagree. I mean, especially if the reports were going to come out, he's kind of stuck, and he's already told his team, so his team knew. I do worry that could affect your team. Letting them know. I mean, could you feel, well, he's abandoned us? Could you have those kind of feelings? I mean, I don't know.
I guess it could go that way, but also it could band you together because, hey, we're going on one last run together.
It didn't affect that
as
team.
well.
They,
you know what I mean?
No.
That team played their ass.
But you know what, though? I will say this, though. I almost feel like, I guess I'm assuming it was a reporter, that must have asked him a question and put him on the spot. It's almost like he was forced to be honest rather than just being honest.
Well, he had already talked to his team before that, so he was honest with his players.
Yeah.
But
so he told the team
before it came out,
before that question came down.
Yeah,
the team already knew he was leaving.
Yeah, as soon as he made the decision, he let his team know,
and
that way they found out from him and not from anybody else.
I guess the opposite side of that is they know that this is probably their last year to really be competitive with this coach and this team. So I guess sometimes it can actually fuel a fire because maybe that's all or nothing type of thing. So there's a lot of different ways you can look at it. Yeah.
And Tony, to your point, I just want to speak on that again. That really kind of tells the relationship between the coaches and his players. Yeah. To where if he says, hey, I'm leaving, and you see guys just giving lackluster effort, not trying, that lets me know that that's not a good, that wasn't a good relationship between coach and players. But I mean, we saw it yesterday, and who knows how much further, where they look good as ever, and they go on this run.
I'd like to see Purdue win because I'm not a Purdue fan by any means. You can tell I'm an Indiana fan, but they're from Indiana and they're in the tournament, so I'd like to see them win. But hey, I wouldn't put it past McNeese beating Purdue. They're capable of it.
Yeah. So we do have an update from a game that just concluded a couple of minutes ago. Number 9 seed Baylor beat number 8 seed Mississippi State. Close game in that one, 75-72. And the Baylor Bears are moving on, knock out another SEC team, which Chris, I believe, puts them at 4-4 in the tournament so far.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So 8 only of the 8, 4 advance in the SEC, and Baylor picks up the win. Tight game there. Other live update on the other game going on at this time. We got Colorado State down by 4 points to Memphis in the first half. Iowa State a 16-point lead over Lipscomb. And finally, Alabama is up 75-68 over Robert Morris with just under 3 minutes left in the second half of that one. Actually, make that 76-60. They just changed as I was finished reading it there. So those are the live updates for the moment.
Yeah, Robert Morris got that 1 point lead, and I think that Alabama woke up after that because they scored about 10 points since.
Glenn chimes in, says, Gonzo, you don't want to see Purdue win. Quit playing yourself.
Big Glenn hates Purdue.
Why does he hate Purdue? Just rivals?
He's at IU.
We're all Indiana Hoosier fans, and that's the big in-state rivals, Purdue.
I'm an IU fan, but I root for Big Ten. So
I feel like for me, I understand, if my number one team goes out, but if I have another option in there, anyone from the state, I'll be like, okay, hey, let's go this team. I'm not going to buy gear and everything, but I want to win. I want to represent the state.
Plus, something like that, I favor the Big Ten, so I like to see the Big Ten do well.
Well, it's like the Georgia men got knocked out, but I think the Georgia Tech women are still in. So it's like, all right.
Ball State University's here where we're at, and their women's team plays tonight against Ole Miss in the NCAA women's tournament.
Yeah, and like you said, the women's tournament that kicks off today.
It's their first time in the tournament since 2019.
Wow, yeah, so it's been a couple of years, and I know that they are they're back and getting in it. And also, I just want to look at the women's side because, like you said, that is going on. I know all the focus goes on the men's, but the women's just kicked off today. And, Chris, as you just said, Indiana right now, they're winning against Utah. They're in the third quarter because they play quarters. 48-41 that one. So IU's got the 7-point lead for the Lady Hoosiers. Other game we got, Notre Dame is just beating the brakes off of Stephen F. Austin, 44-23 in that one. In the game that just got underway, still in the first quarter, it's going to be Kansas State up 17-4 over Fairfield. There's still a lot of other games that are going to be played well after our show is off the air. So they got double options. You got the men's and the women's today, so you got plenty of basketball to watch.
I'll tell you what, women's basketball in Indiana in college is pretty strong because you have IU in the tournament, you have Notre Dame in the tournament, then you have Ball State University, which is a MAC school here where we live. They're in the NCAA tournament, women's tournament as well. So right there's just 3 schools from the state of Indiana that are in the NCAA women's tournament.
Who do you guys think is going to win the women's tournament this year? I'm going with USC.
I've always, man, as good as they've been, I'll have to just roll with South Carolina. They're just a juggernaut.
Which USC you talking about?
You talking about the Trojans or the Gamecocks?
No, USC, the Trojans.
Okay, well, I mean, you can make USC.
That's the only USC. That's the only USC I know. But
All
I
right.
South Carolina. I say South Carolina.
That's fair.
I mean,
That's fair.
I've
So,
always-
Hey,
USC has always been-
Colorado State and Memphis are pretty damn close. 12 ranked Colorado State and Memphis is number 5, but right now it's 31-29 in favor of Memphis, but that's only two points in between that, and that's like 3:34 left to go in the first in that game. So that could be a potential upset.
I'll tell you what,
that's what I'm going to check out the second half.
the girl in that USC, the girl in the USC team she's
Juju?
freaking good. Yeah.
How about Juju?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, she's very good. I think
I've-
she's going to have a big
I've watched-
impact.
I've
when
watched
she
2 or
gets-
3 of their games this year, and she's impressive.
She gets WNBA. I think she's going to make a huge impact, just like Caitlin. I think
Yeah.
she's capable of.
Yeah, she's impressive.
Correct me if I'm wrong, though. I think Texas is pretty highly ranked in women's, aren't they? I don't watch women's basketball a whole lot, but I do think I remember seeing Texas being close to
I
a
think they.
1 seed, I
Yeah, I
thought.
think that.
Jay, if I'm not mistaken, y'all are the 1 seed.
I was gonna say. I think they were 1 seed.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's,
One
that's
of-
what I
one
was
of the
thinking
one
too. I knew the women's was doing way better than the men's.
Yeah,
I think
but
USC
the men
got
didn't
one. I
even
think they're 2.
physically get in. But yeah, Jay, y'all are the number 1 seed. Y'all's game is tomorrow night, 9:45 Eastern, against number 16 seed William and Mary. That's not your neighbors next to you. That's a team.
William and Mary. That's always an interesting name for a school. William and Mary. It's better than John and Biff.
Well, I just talked about Stephen F. Austin. He's not Stephen A. Smith, but
but Stephen F. Austin, I mean, that's like Texas history right there.
that is Texas. One more just kind of college basketball before we kind of move on. A name that I mentioned that got knocked out that was a number 1 seed going preseason. The Kansas Jayhawks. They got beat by Arkansas. And John Calipari, as we know, is now with the Arkansas Razorbacks as their head coach. So he beats up on Bill Self. And man, it just feels like the Jayhawks have just kind of been in a rut the last couple of seasons where they have, I don't think they've advanced in I forget how many years, but it's been 4 or 5 years at this point now since they've even gotten out of the first round, it feels like. I know, I think they won the championship, like 2021, give or take, right around that early range. So that's been too long. But I mean, for Kansas, you think, Sweet 16, Elite 8, so on and so forth, not knocked out in round 1. But I just want to get your thoughts about a team that was at one point a number 1 ranked team getting knocked out in the round of 64.
Yeah, I picked the Arkansas to win that game, but yeah, the Kansas down the stretch. I don't know if it was some injuries or what, 'cause I didn't pay real close to their team, but they wasn't playing as well as they had been. Plus, just selfishly, I was hoping Arkansas would win because I wanted to see the Calipari and Patino matchup.
Ooh, you're not kidding.
This round that we're getting with the Arkansas and St. John's, getting this and them 2 great coaches go battle, and that's going to be a fun one. So I was hoping Arkansas would win for that reason as well. But yeah, I don't know. I'd have to do more research because I'm not sure if Kansas was battling some injuries, but they didn't look like
They
the same
were
team
actually
as they did earlier in the year.
Kansas- what was it, KJ Adams Jr.? He sustained an Achilles injury late in Thursday's loss to Arkansas. So yeah, they actually did one. They did lose one of their star players down to Achilles injury.
Yeah, it's always tough.
Wow, that is.
Tony, any thoughts?
No, not really. No, I watched some of the game. Arkansas looked pretty good. Kansas, they struggled at times. At times they looked good, and then they'd have minutes where they didn't look real good. But yeah, Arkansas looked pretty good.
Yeah, think about March Madness, man.
Oh, didn't he?
He is. He is a great coach. But the thing about March Madness is records be damned. It's really who's got the hot hands, who shoot the ball well, who's making their threes, who's not. Who's got the better tempo, who has more energy. That's a way to tell who's going to win a ball game. You can't. That's why whenever you fill out brackets, man, I don't even bother looking at wins and loss records anymore.
Right.
I mean, I'd say unless you're like undefeated, like I mentioned, South Carolina or like UConn was. I mean, unless you're that level, I don't look at wins and losses like that.
I think
the percentages of perfect brackets. Like, if you had to put a percentage on how many perfect brackets there are,
there's none.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine there is.
Like, they do a contest every year, and like millions and millions of people enter it. Nobody. I forget. It's like 18 trillion. I forget. It's something trillions. The odds of having a perfect bracket. It's crazy.
Right.
It's tough, man. It's super tough. But
yeah,
I
did have a question for you guys, real quick.
Yeah,
there's been some talk about the Big East and the ACC combining. What do you guys think about that?
Wow,
that would be a lot of teams, though, wouldn't it? Because I mean,
yeah, I don't know. Maybe I didn't know if they would take all of them, or they might just combine the bigger ones. But there's some talks of that.
I mean, there's all the Pac-12 in football, but I feel like there's a lot more basketball programs than there would be football programs because it's not as much money you have to add in. You know what I mean? There's a lot of smaller schools in those two conferences that might not have a football program. Just kind of depends, on the funding and whatnot from the boosters. But man, that'd be a lot. That'd be a huge conference. Holy hell!
Well, Big Ten's got what, 14, 16 now?
18.
So Big Ten's got 18.
The ACC's got. I mean, they at least 12, if not more.
Yeah,
I mean that's at least 20 something teams, maybe 30. You'd have to divide them into like East and West or North, something like that, because you can't have all in just one giant bracket. That wouldn't work.
Yeah, they're definitely talking about it.
Glenn says might as well the Pac-10 merge with the Big Ten.
Yeah, I mean, you can merge them. I mean, in basketball, ACC is a big thing. In football, not so much. But in basketball, it's a big thing. So I think you would see more of the effect of that type of merger on the basketball side of it than you would on the football. The football, it'd probably just be status quo. But on that basketball side,
well, this year the ACC wasn't very good in basketball.
They were down this year. They only had 3 teams. Only 3 teams made it. That's why why I think the SEC got 14 teams. Because if ACC would have been as down, I don't think SEC would have got as many. They still might have got 12 or so, but 10. But I don't think it'd have been 14.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to the St. John's and Arkansas game tomorrow because I think that's going to be a real good game.
That's going to be a good matchup.
And like with Calipari on one side and you got Pitino on the other side, it's one of the you can put right up there as one of the best coaches in college basketball as well. So it's going to be it should be a real good game. And both them and that St. John's team defense is just it's
next level.
I'll tell you this. The game I'm looking forward to seeing, not for the outcome, because I already know the outcome is going to be Duke winning it. I don't think Duke is going to lose to Mount St. Harris. But what I am curious, and the reason why I think it is important to watch that game is to see how Cooper Flagg actually plays, and see how much of that rust he shakes off in that ankle, So I'm going to be looking at basically just that game just to watch Cooper Flagg to see, how he plays. And that's going to tell you right there how the rest of that tournament will play out for Duke, based on him. He says he's pain free, so we'll see how that works out. But
he can say that, but we'll see how it looks on the court. There's a big difference. I
wonder what's pain free. Is he getting injections? Because they're not going to tell you that. Is he getting injections to be pain free, or is he really legitimately pain free?
Yeah, I mean we'll find out here shortly. But I want to transition here into what Joe said. Kind of bring us into our next topics, and that's NFL. We know NFL free agency is going on. A lot of the big names are still, they've already been scooped up, but we're getting some of the guys that maybe you haven't heard of in a couple of years. And so, Jay, receiver Brandon Cooks, he signs a 2-year deal with the New Orleans Saints. Obviously, you know him very well. He played with the Cowboys. Cooks goes back home. I think it's like $7 million deal, so not a whole lot of money involved, but he's probably just going to be there and probably end up in his career all in all.
Yeah, this is not really a big time signing. I mean, you know, he didn't really do a whole lot, honestly, with the Cowboys, which he really should have if he was, you know, because, you know, CD takes up a lot. So I felt like, you know, because he commands so much pressure, and so does Jake Ferguson at the tight end spot, I felt like that would have been a good spot for him to get open and get some good production. And it just never really matriculated for Cooks. He never really was a factor at all. Matter of fact, most of the time he was lost in the sauce out there. I mean, he really didn't see much of Brandon Cooks with the Cowboys offense. And I thought that was a good prime opportunity for him. Now, you can say some of that had to do with, you know, Dak Prescott and things like that, and injuries and all that. But at the same time, you know, it's a good pickup. It's a cheap pickup for the Saints. They do need some help out there to give Olave some help, to give Carr a target to throw to. Hopefully he won't disappear over there with the Saints. But I'm not excited about it. I mean, it's an average signing. It's no more than when Gallup signed with the Commanders. I mean, it's kind of in that neighborhood. Maybe Gallup might be a little bit better, to be honest with you.
He'd been with the Saints before, right?
Yeah, Cooks was.
Yeah, Cooks, yeah.
Also.
He had his best numbers there.
So maybe he can regenerate that. I mean, I think it was, but was it Drew Brees throwing him the ball, or was it Winston? Cooks,
probably both. I think it's probably both.
Yeah, it might have been a combination of both, right? Because I think he came out in the, correct me if I'm wrong, it was at the 2014 draft. I think that Cooks came into the league.
I can do a quick search, but that seems right. I know he's been around the league for a while.
2014.
I think he's played 10 seasons.
Yes, you're right. You're right.
Yeah,
2014. Chris, Tony, what are you guys' thoughts on? I don't think it's a needle mover type of pickup, but I think it's good to bring a veteran back and he can help out the club.
You know, going back to maybe to a home where, like I said, he has his best numbers there. Could rejuvenate something. You never know. And not a lot of, well, I say not a lot of money, but $7 million is a lot of money. But you know,
for us, yes.
On NFL standards, I guess it's not a lot of money. So. I mean, sometimes those risks take off. You know, they do well. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think it's a good pickup by the Saints to just get you a little bit of depth at wide receiver. You're not bringing them in to be like one of your top guys. So hell, if he gets there and he does happen to have a breakout season, look a little bit like his old self, then that's a bonus. But you're bringing him in for some depth. So I think it's a good pickup. You're getting a guy and you're not paying. Don't have to pay him a whole lot of money compared to other wide receivers. So, yeah, I think it's a good pickup for the Saints.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how he does all in all, but I think it's a nice
and Kellen Moore likes to throw the ball, so that's another that could be a good fit for Cooks as well.
Yeah, like Joe said, he went to go pay for Kellen Moore, who is in New Orleans now. So we will see how that
he's going back to his old coordinator, I think.
I don't blame him.
Yeah.
And kind of the biggest kind of not free agent signing, but news in free agency, Aaron Rodgers. Yes, I know. He visited with the Pittsburgh Steelers, sources say. Steelers, they don't got a quarterback right now. Justin Fields, we know, is gone. And he's out there in New York with the Jets, where Aaron Rodgers' old stomping ground was. So will Rodgers sign with the Steelers, or will they get cold feet and end up signing Russell Wilson, who's still on the board as well? We'll go with Tony and Chris. Get y'all thoughts first.
I've heard some rumors that a lot of people think the Rodgers is still going to end up with the Giants, but I think Pittsburgh, if they've got the opportunity to sign him, I think you've had Wilson. You know what he did. You've made some upgrades at the receiver position. I think, depending on the money, I think I'd go with Rodgers if they can work out a deal. That's what I think I would do personally, but it's a risk either way. Probably. I mean, can he get back to old form? And that thing is, the offensive line going to be able to protect him.
Yeah, I think if you're the Steelers, you don't let Aaron Rodgers leave that building today without a contract. Because look how late you are in the free agency period now. There ain't no really other quarterbacks out there. If you don't get him, who you going with? You're going to draft a rookie and start a rookie? a rookie this year with your team, or are you going to be able? Would you be able to get Russell Wilson if you don't? So I guess he is meeting with the coaching staff today why he's there, and they said that a deal could possibly get done today. So we'll see what happens. But I think if you're Pittsburgh, you don't let him out of the building without getting a deal unless he's just asking for way too much money, which I don't think he's going to be.
Well, that's the thing. If say he don't leave with a deal for Pittsburgh, and maybe he don't want to play for the Giants, so he might decide to retire, to say the hell with it, retire. And Wilson could go to the Giants. Now Pittsburgh's really stuck. I mean,
I'll be honest with you. I see what Tony's saying, because there's a lot of truth in that. I feel like Aaron Rodgers, he has a standing offer already from the Giants. He has a standing offer from the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's just a matter of which, and I don't think he's not going to go to the Giants. It's either Pittsburgh or retirement for him. I really believe that's the direction that he's leaning. I got to tell you, I'm not a fan. I'm not fond of either one of Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers. I think Tomlin is flirting around with a little bit of danger right now, because up until this point, he hasn't had a losing season. This could be a losing season, because Aaron Rodgers, isn't always the healthiest, right? He still has that Achilles injury. And one thing about an Achilles, you can always re-injure that thing, especially if you're having to scramble, make odd shifts, whatever. You can tweak it and you're done. Another thing is Aaron Rodgers likes the limelight. He likes people to be talking about him. And there's a lot of drama that goes along with Aaron Rodgers. And I just don't know how well that's gonna play out for Tomlin at the end of the day. Honestly, I think Tomlin was better off with Russell Wilson. I know Joe doesn't think that. I know, Joe, I know you think that Aaron Rodgers, but I really think you know what you got with Russell Wilson. You know you made the playoffs with Russell Wilson. You literally added DK Metcalf. Yes, you lost Najee Harris, but Najee Harris wasn't really doing a whole lot for you in the run game to begin with. So you can address that need in the draft, honestly. But I think they were better off with Russell Wilson, because they already made the playoffs with him. And then you add a star wide receiver to that mix. Now you're increasing your chances. I think Tomlin really is going out on a risky ass limb with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, that's a lot of unknowns there. You know, he didn't do well with the Jets. You know, he basically stunk the bed up with the Jets. I had him on my fantasy team at one time with the Jets, and he was horrible. I think he almost had like negative points at one point. So I don't like the Aaron Rodgers thing. I really don't. But I do think that if Aaron Rodgers does go to and signs with Pittsburgh, I do think then that Russell Wilson will wind up going to the Giants. I gotta believe that, because they don't have anybody else.
Sorry, he said if I was the Steelers, I'd sign Rodgers and still draft a quarterback, then let that rookie quarterback learn from Rodgers. And that, if you think about it, Joe, that's kind of what they were hoping for in New York with Zach Wilson, right? Because they still thought he might have had a chance, but that did not work. That didn't work out well.
Well, I think that's what the Steelers will do. I think if they get Rodgers, they're going to draft a quarterback to be, because they know they're only going to have Rodgers for a year or two. But I think if they sign Rodgers, I think that's an upgrade over Russell Wilson. So I think they'll be better this year than they were last year. I really do.
And I did.
Well, one thing we do know about Tomlin is he's not afraid to pull a quarterback if he's not performing. We saw that, with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. He's not afraid to pull the trigger. So I can tell you guys, I just got this feeling inside my body that says if Aaron Rodgers signs with the Steelers, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets pulled and benched in favor of Mason Rudolph. I know that, or even a quarterback that they draft, if they do draft a quarterback. Don't be surprised if you see that in that year.
Let's see if Rodgers goes there. Then we'll make a little bet on that.
and if that deal does get inked, we'll do it here live on the show.
And you guys talk about them drafting the quarterback. I heard they're very interested in that Jackson Dart. I heard Pittsburgh likes him a lot, and they think they might be able to get him. I think they got the 21st pick in the draft, and they think they might get him there.
Guys, Pittsburgh. Let's be real here. They had Ben Roethlisberger, right? He came out of Toledo, I think, or Miami, Ohio.
Miami,
Ohio, yeah.
Yep, Miami, Ohio, because he actually played here in Muncie against Ball State when he was in college.
But since then, they haven't found that franchise quarterback, right? I mean, they went through the years of Mason Rudolph and everyone else. Then they said, all right, Kenny Pickett out of Pittsburgh, you're our guy. That didn't work. They said, all right, well, damn, we got to go back to the drawing board here. Let's pick up Justin Fields, right? Young talent. Everyone said, all right, let's see what he can do. But then you also signed Russell Wilson. It's like, okay, all right. So you have a quarterback battle right there. We saw, like Jay had mentioned, if one was performing, you pull him out. And Russell was hurt for the early portion of last season. And he came back, and it was like, man, Justin Fields, they were balling with him. He was doing a really good job. Wasn't like he was doing bad, but they said, all right, we'll roll with Russ. And we saw they didn't make the playoffs, like you said, they didn't make the playoffs, but they got smoked. They didn't make it past it.
They fell apart at the end of the year last year. They fell apart. Pittsburgh did. They were looking like a pretty good team, and then all of a sudden they just
came crumbling down.
What do you guys think about Joe saying there about the Jets and the Steelers?
Oh, about how the Jets had a bad team, the Steelers. I mean, obviously, when you add DK Metcalf, your team's going to get better. You have, to my knowledge, an experienced offensive line in Pittsburgh. Defensively, would you say they're? I would say they're better, just because the Jets, once they fired Saleh, they took a nosedive.
That's what I was getting ready to say. That was going to be my point. To me, the biggest difference is you got a lot better coaching staff in Pittsburgh.
Yes, you do.
Than what you did with the Jets.
And owners, apparently, too, because Woody Johnson was using Madden ratings and whatever else, apparently.
And front office and
so somebody's kid.
But you've got more stability out there in Pittsburgh.
I mean, you got, and you also have Tomlin as the head coach, who's won a Super Bowl, who's a Hall of Fame coach,
Hall of Famer,
that everybody respects. So Aaron Rodgers is going to respect Tomlin as well. So that it's not like it's some young coach that hasn't accomplished anything. Like Tomlin's one of the most respected. He's one of the most respected coaches in the NFL by any of the players.
Like the Jets haven't had a good coach really since Rex Ryan. That was over a decade ago, I think.
And that was the last time they were in the playoffs.
Yep.
Well,
what do you think?
Aaron knows that. I think Aaron knows that Tomlin is a no BS kind of guy, and he's not going to just be able to go in there and do prima donna stuff because Tomlin ain't going to play that. And I think he knows that. I think Russell Wilson knew that when he played there. Which I think is why Russell Wilson actually had a better year at Pittsburgh. Matter of fact, that was probably the best year he's had since he left Seattle. Was with that year he played with Tomlin. So
Pittsburgh.
We'll see. I mean, we'll see for sure. I don't know if they got any dark rooms out there in Pittsburgh, but we'll see.
I can't remember now.
I think they might got some ayahuasca, but I don't know if they got a dark room.
Oh, jeez. But yeah, I mean, that was kind of the biggest football news. I know, Jay, you mentioned earlier that there was a
when we going to Costa Rica, let's go.
I'm telling you, man, I'm so down for that. Tony, pack your bag.
No,
we're getting some ayahuasca.
I ain't going to do no damn ayahuasca. I ain't going to Costa Rica either.
Hey, real quick. Hey, listen, the Texans, guys, they're not playing around. I don't know if you know what's going on in Texas, but they just re-signed Hunter, the defensive end. They just signed Stingley there in the secondary. Now they brought in two tackles, one on the left and one on the right, and Brown and Johnson to fill out that offensive line. They're not playing around. I'm telling you, man, the more I watch this Texans team and who they're bringing in and who they're signing, and we haven't got to the draft yet. So they're really making some really good, strong lays there. And I really think Texans are going to make a good push. I'm predicting them to have a really good season and make a deep run in the playoffs. You watch.
And see, I applaud that because they know they struggled last year, right? Injuries were also a factor. We can't deny that. But the team, even with those injuries, still didn't look great. CJ Stroud had a down year compared to his rookie year, but he still wasn't, awful by any means. He had a couple more interceptions, of course, but I like the fact that, the front office said, all right, we have some issues. Let's go out there and fix them. Because a lot of teams, they'll have a good year. It's like, oh, hey, maybe they're going to build something, and they do nothing to fix it, and then they go back to mediocrity for 10 seasons. I mean, Houston's had a pretty good ball club over the last decade, I would say, right? When Deshaun Watson was there and J.J. Watt was there, they were doing good in, kind of the middle 2010s. They had some good teams, and we saw, after those guys had left, they were trying to figure something out. Then they got C.J. Stroud, that magical rookie year that they had. Struggled a little bit last year, but I think this year they're kind of, like you said, Jay, they're retooling. They're adding pieces to both sides of the ball. They're locking up their key players, and they're saying, all right, let's give it another chance. And I like it for that. I mean, I think they're making good moves. It's crazy because you mentioned Danielle Hunter. He signed a 1-year contract extension for like $35 million, which is insane. But he had a productive year last year. He had 12 sacks, which was, I believe, tied for 5th most in the league. And Houston's defense had, I think, the 5th most sacks as a team as a whole. So, of course, you want to bring him back as well and keep him happy out there. So I think I like what they're doing. I think that, that they're looking very, very good. And I like whenever he got hired, the coach for the Texans, I know we were like, hey, we'll see how he does. But with DeMeco Ryans, I think he's done a really good job impressing as a early head coach in the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, he really has. And and that's another thing. That if you look at like what they brought in Christian Kirk because Tank Dell went down with injury. You got Nico Collins, you still got John Mechie. I mean, they got a really, they have a really good squad there. And I think by bolstering up that offensive line, it shows how well they are. Because I don't like what the Bengals are doing. The Bengals are paying all their money for these damn wide receivers, but they aren't bolstering their offensive line. Matter of fact, they stole Trent Brown from the Bengals.
But the Bengals' problem last year wasn't their offensive line. The Bengals' problem last year was their defense.
Oh, I understand that. I'm just saying that there's a lot of other places that they need to be spending that money on. It takes 10 guys. It takes 10 guys to get that wide receiver the ball.
You know what I learned from this conversation? I think Jay's becoming a bigger Houston Texans fan than he is a Dallas Cowboys fan.
No. Don't you just?
I think the upside is the Texans are looking better than the Cowboys.
Gonzo, I love you. Don't.
That's blasphemy.
I will stranglehold you. Watch it. Hey, look, watch this. I'm doing Darth Vader right now on you.
You ain't gonna be like Frankie and switch around?
No, he's not even here to defend himself, Tony.
I'll hear about it later. Don't worry.
Yeah, hey,
he'll come back on Monday.
Frank will be on here, I promise.
If he heard that, he probably will.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. No, I just I just think that the way it's like you can develop a team inside out or outside in, and I think right now they're doing outside in. But you're right. I mean, the offensive line isn't completely bad for Burrow. I don't think it's all that. I still think they need to do some work on it. I don't know it's 100% there yet.
No,
they got the draft.
That wasn't their biggest weakness, but no, I agree. They can always get better.
See, the Bengals were scoring 30, 35 points a game and still losing.
Mm-hmm.
No, trust me. That defensive side definitely needs work. It needs work.
Big time. All right, well, let me pull up ESPN here. We can get an update on those live games for the men's side right now. Do the women's here.
While you do that, I got a question real quick about baseball.
Yeah, go ahead.
MLB The Show just came out, but I was talking to my cousin's son, and I thought of something like he knows like almost every player, and he knows a lot of their stats, and he don't watch hardly no baseball on TV, but it's all because that MLB The Show baseball game. So do you guys think MLB should start as a whole promoting that game more? Because I think that game is helping get kids to be baseball fans.
Well, how old is he?
Well, he's 13. He's a 7th grader. But yeah, like he don't watch much baseball on TV, but like he could tell you stats and all kinds of stuff because he plays that game. He always playing that game, and he knows players on all different teams and stuff. I think Major League Baseball should invest more in helping promote that game because I think that's helping get younger kids interested in the game of baseball.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer. But also as a counterpoint in another just league, right? So NBA, we know they have their 2K video game series, which is very popular. Everyone always gets it. It's always one of the most hot selling games of the year. guys, they actually have the WNBA integrated in there. You can play as you play as the Fever, you can play as the Dream, you can play as the Mystics, you can play as whoever. They have all the players, all the likenesses and stuff in there. And when they released it a couple of years, and they brought it in a couple of years ago, I forget how many, they tried to make it a big deal. But obviously, we know the WNBA isn't going to get a basketball standalone game anytime soon. So they said, okay, let's add it on let's tack it on right for free. It's in the game as soon as you buy it. And let's see if we can also add some popularity to watching the game, like I said, or playing it in this manner. And I think it's got a slight uptick, but I still don't think that's going to be, the main driving force to increase viewership. And we talked about it in the States, and we talked about it early in the week, guys, when the Dodgers and the Cubs opened up the regular season in Japan. Well, hell, Japan, that's their number one sport. For baseball, it's not even I wouldn't say it's the number one sport in America. It's probably football. So, I think it said they had like 25 million people all in all watching it and also at those games. You ain't gonna get that for baseball. Not in a 3-game series or a 2-game series or whatnot. But I think it's a good way to, like I said, attract it and get, like I said, younger fans, right? Like you're like a fan member there. But it's more so just, okay, that's kind of their introduction to it, right? To the sport. But how do you keep them hooked in? How do you keep them from, saying, it was a fun fad I had for like 2 or 3 years, but I'll go on something else.
Yeah, like with him, he don't watch a whole lot on TV, but he loves to go watch it live. He loves going to games. But yeah, but he's learned so much about the game just by playing.
His favorite player is Atlanta Braves player.
Yeah, Acuna.
Okay, yeah, and also too, I think I like what the that series he's done too. Because Chris, next time you see him, you can ask him. They have, and Jay, me and Jay did this a couple of years ago. They have a mode where you can learn and play different games and different kind of moments from various Negro League players, which they've done. I think over the past maybe 2 or 3 years, which I thought was really cool because. If you're not like a big baseball historian, you're not going to know about many of these guys and their stories and stuff. Like, like me and Jay, we've talked about in the past, and we've brought up, topics here before on the show. But a 13-year-old, kid or younger, they're not going to know who, Buck Leonard and all these other guys, or Satchel Paige even. They're not going to know unless, like, oh, hey, who are these guys that they're promoting in this game? Let me, see what they can do, and then. That would be like, oh, hey, let me go and read more about this guy and learn more about him.
Hey, I've got a question, guys, because I don't play video games at all. But you mentioned that about the baseball. Do they do that with NBA? Can you play as old players? Do they have Wilt Chamberlain? Do they have Pistol Pete Maravich?
Yep.
Do they have those kind of players in the game?
They have like historical teams, Tony. So like they've got, like the 98 Bulls, the 85 Celtics, the 19 the Showtime Lakers. They've got all the big teams, right? Okay. They got the Pacers, I think, from the 90s. Whenever y'all had like Rick Smiths and guys like that. So they do a good job with keeping the history of the game alive.
Do they do that with the NFL too, with players too?
The NFL, they don't do it. They used to have classical teams you could play as, just whatever. You could boot up Madden and be like, all right, I'm going to play the 02 Raiders against the, the 1988 Falcons or whatever.
It'd be cool. It'd be cool if you had the Steelers and you could put Terry Bradshaw as your quarterback. It'd be cool if you could change it. Again, I don't play video games, so I don't know nothing about it.
Yeah.
Well, Jake, what is it? Jake 518 on our channel here. He played on Twitch. He played the MLB. And I watched a couple of the games on MLB that he played. I watched it, and it really is. It's got great graphics. Everything is just.
Oh yeah,
I play. It's like you're really in a baseball game. It's crazy.
I play with my son and my cousins sometimes. It's a good game, and it's
so realistic, bro.
Yeah. If you like baseball, that's a fun game for you. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Only on the market.
You're right, though, Gonzo. That is a perfect way. If I was baseball, I would be blowing that shit up all the time because that's a perfect way to build the interest back in the sport, especially with the younger generations that don't really know baseball like we know baseball.
Especially because like last year, baseball's ratings were higher than admitting like they were up. So
Right.
try to keep something to keep that momentum going because more people,
Oh, absolutely.
more
that's
people are
because
starting to watch
rule change.
baseball again.
Which is more popular, NBA or baseball, guys?
Oh, NBA.
See,
I would say
I think baseball
I would
as
say
a whole.
NBA.
NBA.
Because NBA, you have a lot more of the individual players, right? You know LeBron, you know Curry. You
Watch
don't
this.
hear
Let me
about.
break it down for you. Let me break this down super easy.
Go ahead.
Let me
Go
Barney
ahead.
style this. Let me Barney style this.
All right.
Every time I've ever gone into the elementary schools, when we were doing the podcasting, especially when I did with Gonzo, me and Gonzo did a live, or we did a recorded podcast to show the kids how podcasting works. And this is a DOD funded school down there in Hinesville, Georgia. I go up here where she's at currently right now at Travis Intermediate, which is predominantly Hispanic, a little bit of black, a little bit of white, but it's predominantly Hispanic type of community, Title I schools, right? And I guarantee you, they all know basketball players. You start talking baseball, they go out into space like they don't know what the hell's going on. That's what I'm trying to say. When at a young age, when all these kids and all these people know who Braun is, more so than they do who Mike Trout is, that just kind of tells you where the popularity is. I'm just saying, basketball is so much more relatable to multi-generation or multi-ethnicities than baseball really honestly is. Honestly, if you saw an African-American in baseball, I guarantee you 9 times out of 10, he's probably from South America somewhere. It's not like they're from the U.S. African-Americans.
Okay.
I mean, there's definitely been.
Last year, 2024 NBA Finals had an average viewership for the series
Right.
of 11.3 million. The
Right.
2024 World Series had an average viewership for the series of 15.8 million.
Yeah, I mean,
I know more
ways you
people.
can spin it.
Me personally, I know more people that watch baseball on television than the NBA.
Right.
More people I know just check out NBA for highlights and stuff on social media. Where I know more people that follow baseball than I do NBA.
I do
Right.
too.
And you can't argue that because you got factual based data. So it's hard to argue against factual based data. But when
But
watch,
I get your point because
like, you know what I'm saying?
the players in the NBA are a lot more well known than the Major League Baseball
Mark.
players. I get that 100%.
Yeah. We're just saying popularity in terms of just.
I'm just going by
name
like people watching it.
Yeah.
I think baseball gets more viewers.
But like I
It's
said,
just, but you know what though? But again, some of that though is one of the things is they don't tell you is some of that stuff is international. You know, China has a big interest, Japan has a big interest. There's a lot of mitigating factors that goes into those viewer ratings. I'm not saying you're wrong, Gonzo. It is a very popular thing. But when I watch, any one of these shows, sports shows, I don't care who it is, Dan Patrick, McAfee, whoever you want to talk about. Hell, even Stephen A. I ain't never seen Stephen A. talk about a baseball player like he does basketball or football. You know what I mean? It's just crazy.
Patrick will talk baseball. Dan
Oh,
Patrick,
I'm sure he does.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he
Hey,
does.
he just listed names.
I'm just saying, by large, though, every time I turn on sports,
No, I get what you're saying.
Oh yeah, it's not even close. I mean, as far as knowing the players, because MLB does a terrible job of marketing the players. They don't market their players at all.
I do think there's a huge international interest in baseball. We know there's a huge international.
We just saw it in the Japan series. I mean, you had the whole country.
I think it's more. I think baseball is more famous or more well known in Japan and China than it is really here.
But just to clarify, the numbers I gave, that was for in the United States.
Okay. Well, okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
Well,
I think too.
The reason my nephew's son knew Acuna was from the baseball game. He didn't know it from. That's how he found out about Acuna. Was from the baseball game, and that's how he became a big Acuna fan.
And I guess one thing we all know is, look, there's no way baseball is giving out these mega contracts if there isn't interest in the sport. They wouldn't have the money to give it out. Baseball would go under if it wasn't having success, right? But I do think they could have probably even more success, like you said, Gonzo, if they marketed it better. They can triple what they're doing.
Hey, and Tony and Chris, I want to throw this up here for y'all because it is Red players, and Mike Hughes comment saying, I feel like they don't market players in baseball. A guy like Ellie De La Cruz, who is bilingual, should be in commercials everywhere.
Hell yeah,
I mean-
he should be.
Yeah.
He
I
wrote,
mean,
and
you
that's
know,
a good
go
point.
vitamin water or something, you know, like
That dude's he's hitting over 400 right now, and
Well-
so far in spring training.
Yeah, you
I
could
think
take every.
I think Ellie's
every-
on crack though. I want him drug tested.
Yeah, every big.
Hey,
Every,
go for
every
He said it
every
works.
star on each team. Every star on each team should be featured out there in commercials, but they don't do that. I don't understand.
and guys, you can talk about this more than I could because I was just a young wee lad, right? But when I was growing up, I would see commercials from the '90s of Mark McGuire, Jose Canseco, you know, the Braves pitchers, the Trinity they had. They'd be in commercials. I'd see them on TV. They would be marketed, you know, for Harley Davidson or for, you know, Bank of America or whatever. I would see them more. I can't tell you the last time I've seen a baseball player on any sort of ad or commercial, you know, whether that be for TV or streaming or anything. I don't remember.
They had Ohtani on like one or two during the Super Bowl, and that was it. And like a guy like Ohtani, Deli Cruz, guys like that, Aaron Judge, they should be.
Yeah.
You should be
Worldwide.
out
So did you
everywhere.
see that comment?
Yeah.
Gonzo, did you see that comment?
I saw that. That'll change this
I didn't
year.
know if you saw it.
That'll change this year.
So Joe, as we know, Joe lives out in Italy. He says that Italy is more for the NBA than baseball. And Joe, I just want to just pick your brain here. You can comment. I mean, has it always been that way, or has it been kind of in recent years with kind of the more international influence? I know, obviously, you guys, you know, y'all have teams out there, of course, in your own leagues, but I mean, what about, you know, how is like FIBA and the world, the Olympics, does that influence that to kind of gain that popularity? And also, Mike says, Jay, American-born baseball players, Mookie Betts. Don't put Tim Anderson in there.
I'm not saying there's not African American born, U.S. born players in baseball.
Michael
I'm
Harris.
saying 9 times out of 10, though, a lot of them do come from overseas. I
get what you're saying, Jay, because a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of great, you know, Venezuelan, Dominican-born players that come over from overseas, right? And those are like the big name players. Obviously, you know, Mookie Betts is a hell of an athlete. Lawrence Butler, young up and cover. Tim Anderson, he got punched.
The NBA is turning in the same way. Oh, if you look there, a lot of their best players are coming from other countries now.
He says 2019 Tim Anderson, brother, that was years ago. That wasn't even this decade.
No, you know what I mean? Like now with
Okay, so it's always
the
been.
NBA, if you look at the NBA, most of their stars, or a lot of their better players are coming from different countries as well.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Jokic might be the best center of all time when it's all said and done. He's from Slovenia, I believe.
Yeah.
And look at, I mean, how Luka is one of the best generational talents. He's not from the U.S.
Oh, for sure.
I mean,
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, and I get that. I mean, if you just look at the Astros, half of our team, I would say 3/4 of our team are from somewhere in the South American area or in the islands area, right? Puerto Rico, Cuba, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, it just seems to me like that's the direction, or that's where the majority of the African American players are at.
he said Acuna has just made ACLs with Derrick Rose. Why are you arguing, not hugging, crying it out? It's all right, Mike. That's all right. I'll just cry to the World Series rings I got it.
And Joe says it's always been NBA.
He says Italy does not know one baseball player. I mean that also too. I mean, like I feel like every so often you get like an Italian baseball player in. I think didn't the Yankees have one like a relief pitcher like semi recently? I forget his name, but I mean, like I said, I know Italy's not like a hotbed for baseball. You know what I mean? They have a couple players, but you'll get that from all around, right? You get that for a lot of other spots. But let's get
real quick, though, Joe, I need you to send me some of that Italian vino, baby. Can you give me some good Italian wine?
Ooh, be good.
Give me a little vino, baby. You put it in the mail.
Put it in the mail. All right, just to give an update, guys, here on some of the basketball games that have been taking place. We're going to start with the women's first. So Michigan was able to beat Iowa State. Final score in that one, 80-74. So a close game there. Kentucky, they survived against Liberty, 79-78. Number 4 seed versus number 13 there. Kentucky gets the win. Indiana guys, the Hoosiers, Lady Hoosiers, got the win over Utah, 76-68 in that one. And currently taking a look at the live games ongoing. At halftime, Kansas State is up against Fairfield 37-25. So still, I mean, that, Fairfield could potentially come back and have a better third and fourth quarters. But this next game, it's a wrap. I mean, 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. I don't see this comeback happening. Notre Dame, number 3 seed, up 78-41 over Stephen F. Austin. Then switch over to the men's side. The Tigers and Colorado State, Memphis and Colorado State guys, evened up 48 apiece going into the second half. 14 minutes left to play there. I feel like that was going to come down to the wire, like we all said. That's going to be a good game there. Now this one, Duke is off to a fantastic start against Mount St. Mary's, up early, 24-9, with about 11 minutes and some change in the first half. So that is where we are currently at. Some games that have wrapped up. Also, we mentioned Alabama beat Robert Morris, but also Iowa State, they took care of Lipscomb, also 82-55 in that game. So really, I mean, Colorado State and Memphis, that one, once we get off the show here, I'm flipping that one on.
By the way, hey, Joe, my liver says differently.
He says, prove it. He says, Custis. Hey, Mike, I know you're going to cry with this one, buddy, but talking about baseball games, I saw that Chris Bryant's like a 64 overall in MLB The Show this year. Golly. He said, Jay, you can't handle it. It's very strong. Very strong wine.
Hey guys, my daughter.
I got 120 proof in here, killer. Let's go.
My daughter and her husband and my grandkids are headed to Arizona. They're going to see a spring training game, and then they're going to see Arizona and the Cubs opening day in Arizona. Every year they go to a different at spring break. They time it out so they can see a new opening day. They go to a different park every year.
Nice.
That's cool. I like that. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, they're going to Arizona this year. Last year, I can't remember where it was. Chris, you remember? Was San Francisco maybe?
One year they went to Texas. Was that last year?
That might have been Texas. They've been in San Francisco.
They went to Arlington.
Yeah, they've been to Miami. They've been to a lot of places.
Nice.
They're taking a train. They're taking a train to Arizona for $50 a person. $50 a person. How long
is that train ride?
That's going to be pretty long.
I figured, man. All right. Well, hey, safe travels to them. Okay. All right. Well, guys, I think we'll wrap up the show here. Any final thoughts or any topics you want to talk about before we wrap up the show here today? Tony, Chris?
Go Ball State women. Let's win. Let's win tonight.
Yeah, I think we play in about a couple hours.
Yep. 6 o'clock.
All right. And do you guys got any shows coming up this weekend, or are y'all off?
We'll be live Sunday at 3 for Warrior Pro Wrestling.
Yes. Should be a good show.
I forget what number. I forget what number it is, so I ain't going to try. I know it's Warrior Pro Wrestling, but yeah, it'll start at 3 o'clock on Sunday. You'll be able to find it on Facebook and YouTube.
Nice.
Will be live, so it should be a good time. And we actually are coming off of suspension. We got suspended from there and weren't allowed to attend the last show. So now one of the GWR guys was named co-general manager, and he reinstated us. So we're going back tomorrow, and so it'll probably be a war with the other GM that suspended us. So it should be, or Sunday, I mean. So it should be interesting Sunday. So I would tune in.
Yep.
Guys, what I tell y'all? Y'all can't be selling bootleg T-shirts in the parking lot.
I'm telling you, man. Hey, listen. You know they selling weed under the table. It's all good.
He's selling some weed to the boys in the back.
Hey, that wouldn't have got us suspended.
That would have gotten that VIP parking pass.
I know you guys are going to be going on ESPN's YouTube with that stuff. So make sure if you don't know where to catch Gonzo's stuff, check out our link tree, and you will find Gonzo there as well.
You can, and also Jay, me and Jay in the background, we'll be cooking something up, boys. We're going to give a little sneak peek. You got me? All right, it's going to be good. Coming up next week, it's going to be going out the last day of spring training. We're working on it. We're getting things ready to go. But myself and Jake, we're working on talking about who has had the best spring training month ever. We did some research, Jay. We crunched the numbers, and if I gave Tony and Chris 100 guesses, there's no damn way you would guess this player. So that's going to be coming out next week. Final day of spring training is when we're going to plan to release it. Nice little video me and Jay are working on. and it's going to be a fun time there. Once we get everything finalized over the weekend, we will talk more about it next week. But just want to have a little tease there for those who have tuned in today. For Joe and Mike, and of course Glenn, we appreciate all of you guys for taking some time out of your Fridays and checking us out here on the show. For Jay, for Tony, Chris, guys, be safe for the weekend. Watch some basketball. Take it easy. I'm your host and producer, Logan Landers. Guys, enjoy some March Madness. Enjoy some basketball and whatever sports you enjoy. And we will talk to you guys again on Monday at 2 o'clock Eastern on the afternoon show.